Well, in case you haven't heard it on the news yet, daylight saving time is coming up this Sunday, March 14th. And while we do lose an hour of sleep, it's actually kind of nice once we get used to it. We like having that extra hour of daylight where the sun seems to be out for a little bit longer. And I don't know about you, but it makes me think about that time in Joshua 10 where the Israelites were battling against the Amorites. And there Joshua prayed to God that the sun would stand still until they won the victory. And so Joshua 10 and verse 13 says the sun stopped in the midst of heaven and did not hurry to set for about a whole day. And it says there has been no day like it before or ever since when the Lord heeded the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. Now, that seems like a pretty strange story, but I think it tells us a couple important things. First, that God responds to the prayers that call for his will to be done. Going all the way back to Abraham, it was part of God's promise all along that Israel would inherit the land of Canaan. And just before this moment, God had promised to Joshua that he was with them and that he would give them the victory. And so as Joshua prays, he's not just making a wishful petition, he's praying for God's will to quite literally be done on earth as it is in heaven. And so God responds to the prayer that calls for his will to be done. But more than that, it also shows that God will hold nothing back to win the victory for his people. When we read this story, I'm sure we're all a little bit confused about the science behind it. Some researchers believe this event can actually be traced back in astrology, but however God did it, it shows us that if the Lord suspended the universe itself, then he'll do anything to accomplish his will and to rescue his people. And what that story seems to point toward is the day of another astrological event over 1,000 years later when the sun was darkened at the cross. See, like Joshua praying for the salvation of Israel, Jesus, Yeshua, prayed in the garden, "Thy will be done." And as he endured the cross, the Son of God stood suspended in the midst of the heavens with darkness over the face of the earth until at last the victory was won. And no day like it had ever come before, and there has been no day like it ever since, when the Lord heeded the voice of Jesus and fought not just for the salvation of Israel, but the salvation of all mankind. Because even today, God will always respond to the prayers that call for his will to be done. And he will hold nothing back, not even his own creation, and ultimately not even his own son, not even his very life, to keep his promises and to win the victory for his people forever.